Got the wall there. I think it's killed. All right, guess it was our time.
I've been doing this 11 years, and I can't name anyone that's had as bad luck in the chase as I have.
Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick simultaneously major issues.
I got braked, but I hit a ton.
Wrong time of the year for it.
I'm devastated that we didn't get the result that my guys deserved.
Dylan's out of shape. Chase Elliott hits the fence.
I felt contact and I was spinning to the grass.
Knocked the shit out of him, just square in the bag.
Unbelievable bad luck for the Chasers today. It is time to set the field for Sunday's race, the second race of the round of 12. Qualifying about to get underway for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from Kansas Speedway, and quite a bit different from the practice from earlier today as far as weather is concerned. As we take a look at the chase standings after one race, the first race of the round of 12, Jimmy Johnson gets the big win after a 24-race winless streak. Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski all putting up pretty good points, but there are 5 drivers on the bottom of this list, all had issues at Charlotte. And so they are now fighting for the final spots as they will want to advance to the round of 8. Hello, everyone. Alongside Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton, I'm Rick Allen. So those 5 drivers struggling at Charlotte, had issues, and now they're in a situation where they have to have a good finish here, if not a win, if they want to go into Talladega and be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, and it all starts today. Qualifying has a great deal to do with track position. Obviously, when you pick your pits, all those things have a huge impact on what kind of finish you can have on Sunday. And by the way, the people you're racing with. Because we have 5 people in trouble, we know that one of those can most likely get in on point. So there's a battle within a battle. You have to look around and see who you're racing. Quite possibly, we can see these 5 guys racing against each other the next 2 weeks to try to advance into the third round.
You know, and a good qualifying doesn't guarantee success, but what it does is take the pressure at least a little bit off of a high-pressure situation. It's bad enough they've had a bad race. As you said, they're trying to recover. Well, the recovery has to start today. Qualifying well proves to yourself, proves to the field, proves to everyone that you can recover. You do have hope. There are no guarantees, but I can assure you it's much easier to sleep all weekend, work on your car and practice tomorrow, knowing you have a good starting spot.
A little bit shorter practice session. It was supposed to be 90 minutes earlier this morning, but because of a little bit of precipitation, it was shortened. But 2 drivers really stood out to me as struggling, and that was Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski. They were way down on the speed chart. Should they be worried into this qualifying session?
Well, we don't know everything that's going on with their team. I think Brad Keselowski and his team, they have teammates they can go back and lean on. Joey Logano was pretty good, so they can have conversations. The 3-car and Austin Dillon, you know, they've got to find a way to find some speed. So without a doubt, I don't know if they have quite the amount of help because his teammates weren't as good. So we'll see. These teams find a way in the chase of stepping up when they need to if they want to advance. So we see which one of these teams can step up.
Well, the issue is it's going to be difficult for everyone, Rick, because even if you were good in practice or struggling in practice, to qualify well here this afternoon, these drivers are going to be right on the edge of wide open, not getting out of the throttle all the way around this 1.5-mile facility. So to commit to that, to commit to the throttle, you're right on the edge of control. We have the wind starting to pick up. The 2 ends of the racetrack seem to be a little bit different. We've had Xfinity practice, ARCA practice. This track is different. So in my mind, there's a lot of unknowns to see who can qualify well.
Earlier today, we saw drivers hitting 205 miles an hour as they were entering into turn 1 and turn 3. What will the speeds be when this qualifying session gets underway? Miles from Kansas City is this 1.5-mile gem of a racetrack, Kansas Speedway. And so much speed is expected to be seen, especially in this qualifying session. But before they climb into the cars, let's go to Mike Massaro.
And one of the qualifiers for the round of 12 is definitely Chase Elliott. I have a little bit of work to do, just below the cutoff line by a few points, but you've got a fast race car. But what I can tell from practice, what are you expecting here in this qualifying session?
Well, hopefully we can go fast, I guess, is the biggest thing. So I feel like we made a few gains on our Synergy 1 Chevrolet today, which I think is solid. We know we need to be better. I think we have hopefully a better car than what we had here in the first race, which is good if we can do that. So we're working hard at it. I mean, we're doing all we can do, so we're trying.
big picture, how do you look at your situation in terms of what you need to accomplish here in this race before you go to Talladega next week?
Yeah, I think, you know, the best way to go to Talladega is just try to make Talladega irrelevant, and then the best way to do that is have a good run here. So our teammates made Talladega irrelevant last weekend, and we like to do the same here.
Best of luck here in qualifying.
Thanks.
Chase Elliott had a top 5 fast car in the first practice session this morning, Dave. He looks to improve upon that in this session and perhaps take the pole.
Mike, in the first segment of the show, the booth talked about 2 drivers that had trouble. One was Austin Dillon. The other one was Brad Keselowski in this morning's practice. 32nd fastest was all they could do. So I stopped by to talk to crew chief Paul Wolf for an explanation. He said we hadn't been doing great in qualifying lately. In fact, last week, 20th at Charlotte. So we were looking for something different to try in this morning's practice. We tried it. It did not work. So we went back to the kind of things that we know. They did not work. We were just slow, he said, and so they've gone to what they know, tweaked on it just a little bit, and hope Brad can find some speed here in the qualifying session. Mike, back to you.
And Dave, another guy trying to find some speed in this qualifying session would be Austin Dillon. 28th fastest. I think a lot of people were surprised by that. What were you working on in terms of trying to find speed this morning?
Man, just everything, really. We're just trying to get it better, and it just wasn't right. I mean, it's 2 tenths all the way up till about 10th place, I think. So if you get 2 tenths, you're in the ball game. And I think we can do that. We worked hard on the kill Chevy. They did a lot of stuff to get our attitude better, and the sun came out, so it's about to be a different game here in a little bit.
Not only the sun, there's a lot more rubber on the racetrack right now. What do you expect the track to be like?
Well, I ran the Xfinity cars and still felt like there was some grip out there. Maybe you can move around a little bit more than this morning, so we'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Austin Dillon, one of those guys, Rick, who needs to have a good weekend. Didn't come out of Charlotte where he wanted to be, just below the cutoff line.
Austin Dillon could find himself in a must-win situation. As a chaser, that's exactly what they don't want to have happen. Qualifying coming up next. Watch the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the NBC Sports app and get closer with driver stats, track information, additional camera angles. Watch live anywhere on any device. Find out more at NBCSports.com/live. Take a look at the rules for this qualifying session. It'll be 3 rounds. The first round, everyone goes out. There's 20 minutes. They can run as many laps as they want. The fastest 24 advance to round 2. Then, once you're in round 2, you only have 10 minutes to make a lap, or 2 or 3 if you think you can get out there and go faster, until the top 12 advance into round 3. That's when the pole will be won in the 3rd round.
And I think what's going to make these multiple rounds even more exciting is you talk about multiple laps. It can be multiple runs. And it seems like this Goodyear tire has a decent amount of grip for more than just 1 lap, Jeff. So if someone goes out, makes a mistake, come in, cool their car down, make some adjustments, and get another run at it.
Well, certainly like Kyle Busch wasn't in a hurry. He was not going to certainly be one of the first cars out. He wasn't even in his race car yet, much like Martin Truex. They're just leaving Tech. So I don't think a lot of these teams appear to be wanting to get on the racetrack early.
Now, last week, it seemed like technical inspection took quite a bit of time, and there was quite a few cars that weren't able to get out onto the grid at the start of the qualifying session. So now it seems like more of the cars are out here. Maybe just 2 or 3 are still back in the garage getting ready to be pushed back out. So enough cars are out here. As far as you see Martin Truex Jr. climbing into his car, he'll drive it out onto pit road and then probably out straight onto the track. But the track now is green. Drivers making their way out. Earlier, Kyle Busch ran the fastest lap in practice at 27.75 seconds. That was the fastest lap we have seen on this racetrack for the Sprint Cup Series. We'll see how fast qualifying goes as the first cars are making their way out onto the track now. Joey Gase will be the first one out on the track. 23-year-old out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
You see part of the racetrack is shaded. That could help these cars. See in turn 1, as he drives into turn 1, there's no sun whatsoever. It's completely shaded. You see on the apron, it's the start of the sun come out, and then off of turn 2, the sun gets back on the racetrack. So we'll see how that changes throughout qualifying.
And I think basically this turn 3 right here is going to be the spot that's the most difficult, because not only is the track in the sunshine, but the wind is straight down the backstretch. So the driver's going to be dealing with a tailwind, which will take downforce off the race car, making the entry speed into turn 3 even more difficult.
Joey Gase earlier was able to muster 29.839 seconds in the practice session and not able to back that up in his qualifying run.
Kyle Larson, 80.
That's way off what he ran in practice. You know, I guess what we don't know is while the weather condition has changed, so hasn't the track conditions. It's been Xfinity practice, ARCA practice. So these Cup cars practiced on a very fresh racetrack this morning. This racetrack now has many laps on it, which sometimes can take grip away.
And they were the first cars on the racetrack. We had some rain this morning. The ARCA cars were supposed to be on the racetrack for 2 practices. They didn't get it all practice, and the Cup cars did. So they were the first ones on, and now they're the last one. As you heard right there, people had to get out of the throttle coming out of turn 2.
And that kills the momentum down the backstretch.
But it held pretty well. Held better than I thought it was going to.
Well, and he had run a 28 flat in practice, so he's up the racetrack here, though. I'm not sure he can stay wide open. Looking at the lap time, he lost a little bit of speed. This is still much, much slower than the 16 of Greg Biffle practice. 28.67 is first at the moment.
A half a second is a ton of difference. I mean, that is, in racing, a half a second from practice to qualifying, losing a half a second, that is an unbelievable amount.
There won't be a half a second through the entire field. The top 24 will be spread much less than a half second, I imagine, here in this first round. I'm not sure there's quite as much excitement to get on the racetrack.
I was going to say,
he says he's ready, but
it looks like everybody's scratching their head going, wait a second, what did those guys just run compared to what they ran this morning?
That's what it was. Wait.
Are you sure?
Did you say a 60?
Yeah.
What did he run in practice? That's what
what you're asking is, that's what you're asking. Was it a 27.60 or a 28.60?
Well, it's because we topped out at the top of the show. With what we saw for speeds this morning, we were thinking close to wide open. And then you see these lap times today, and these drivers instantly like, well, I don't want to overdrive the corner and slide up. So, you know, how aggressive do I need to be is we'll see how Carl Edwards does to see if he can find some of that pace.
And the one thing I think really changes the game for the crew chiefs, they right now need to be thinking, do I need to make 2 runs? Is it possible my second run is going to be faster? And if it is, then you want to be on the racetrack now. You want to be on the racetrack early, so the next time you go out, you've had a chance for your tires to cool as much as you can, the engine is cool as much as you can. So that's one thing the crew chiefs need to be thinking about. Maybe you can't do it in 1 run.
Carl Edwards ran a 27.82 earlier this morning, and right now he's not even going to run a 28.60.
He's almost going to be a second. He is almost a second slower than what he was this morning.
Yeah, but the question mark is Trevor Bayne in the 6th car. He is now better than Carl Edwards. Now, he's much slower than he ran in practice as well, but Carl Edwards was our 3rd place car in practice, right? He was behind both Kyle and Kurt Busch, and now, after only 8 cars on the racetrack, he sits 3rd.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne is a half a second slower, 0.6 of a second slower than he was in practice, but he didn't slow down as much as Carl Edwards did.
Yeah, relative to, and very close to coming out turn 4 and getting into the wall there, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
And let's be clear, when they're slower, it's not that they're just looser or they're just tighter. They don't turn as good. It is a combination of everything. For whatever reason, the racetrack does not have the grip in it that it had in practice, and that's overall grip. They don't turn as good. They don't make as much rear grip. You can't drive them as hard. It's hard for a driver to get that in his head. When you go to qualify, you think you're going to drive it harder.
Right up against the wall for Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
You want to drive the car harder than you ran it in practice, but you're having to drive it easier.
I think he got into the wall.
I think so as well.
I think the right side is flattened from getting into the wall.
They're back in the gas so early, just thinking they have the grip they had earlier, Jeff. They probably were using that mark in practice. And Ricky Stenhouse got in the gas really early in the corner and just started walk up the racetrack.
Cautions came out. Look at this. He gets up too high and actually into the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, he's just high up the racetrack trying to correct. And right here you see a big moment of loose.
But, you know, it could have been a lot worse than it was. I don't think it ever hit anything important real hard. It hit that right rear bumper, and then it kind of moved back around. I thought it was going to smack the right front really hard, but it didn't hit it nearly as hard as I thought it was going to. I'm sure there's damage, but it could have been a lot worse. But Steve, you're right. The driver he knows in his head where he needs to lift off the throttle, when he needs to get back in the gas. He has set a strategy going into this qualifying of what he needs to do based on the way his car felt in practice. And typically, you're going to have to pick all those things up quicker in qualifying. You can see the damage right here. You're going to have to know how much further you're going to drive in the corner, how much sooner you're going to get in the gas. And if you go out and try to do that when the track is 7 or 8 tenths slower than it was, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get into the wall, or you're going to have a moment.
That was a moment.
Yes, it was.
Now the crew member there, you see he's allowed to repair it as much as possible without using tools. You see the official right on the right side of your screen, the gentleman in the gray shirt. He's overseeing the repairs. You're not allowed to improve it more than stock, but you are allowed to clearance it because Ricky Stenhouse has every right to go run again, try to make another lap. So the team members, that's Mike Kelly, the car chief right there, not only is clearancing the tire, but I'm sure he's very aware of the aerodynamics of this race car, how it's supposed to look, what direction is better. So you see he's trying to not only clearance the sheet metal off the tire, but you see him push it in a little bit right there. So in front of the tire, you'd like it flared out, but behind the tire, you don't want it to be a parachute. You don't want it out, sticking out, catching air. So it's important not only to clearance the tire, but get the correct shape.
Yeah, you got to get a guy like Mike Kelly that, over the wall. That's the kind of guy you want. He's a former crew chief, been a crew chief at Xfinity level, been a crew chief at the Cup level. He's now the car chief on this car. So you got a guy over the wall working on that car that knows exactly what the shapes of the quarter panels need to be. He'll get the most he can, as you mentioned, with the tools he has to work with, and essentially that's his hands.
Right.
So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., when his career started with Roush Fenway Racing, he was an Xfinity's driver, and he went out and ran race after race after race and ended up wrecking cars. And it got to the point where Jack Roush said, hold on, Ricky, I'm taking you out of the car. I'm going to take you out of the car, and I want you to just think about this for a second. You can't be wrecking my race cars. You have to go fast, but you've got to know where that line is. The second he put him back in the car, things got clearer for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He goes out, ends up winning a championship in the Xfinity Series. But it took that wake up from Jack Roush saying, all right, I know you know how to go over the edge, but I need you to find out where the edge is and run right at the edge. I don't need you to wreck the race cars. I need you to run right at the edge. And he did. He learned.
Well, and that's what makes qualifying at a momentum-based mile-and-a-half track like Kansas so difficult, because you can have an issue in the middle of the corner and maybe be a little slow back to the gas and recover. But Ricky Stenhouse was committed to the throttle a long time ago in that corner. And at that point, Jeff, on corner exit, if he lifts at that point, he might as well coast down pit road.
That's right.
So, I mean, yes, you don't want to hit the wall, but you can't be conservative, because even though the speeds are off from what they were in practice, it's not because they're not trying to run fast.
Well, you said when we came on the air, is that you have to push. You have to be in the throttle. You have to try to run almost wide open. Just right now, the track is not allowing it.
Right. We'll see how Jamie McMurray does. So earlier in practice, McMurray was able to turn a lap in 27.947 seconds. The shadows coming over the grandstands, covering pretty much the entrance to turn 1, and then as soon as they come out of 4, that part of the racetrack is in shadows now, where earlier today it was overcast, no sun on this racetrack at all, and it seems to have slowed the track down just a bit as McMurray goes up and puts a 28.6 second lap and is the fastest, but again, nearly it's a little over half a second slower than what he was in practice.
So let's explain this. A 28.6, what Jamie Murray just ran, and that's P1 right now on the board, that would have been 36 fastest in practice. 36 fastest. That's how different this racetrack is.
Kevin Harvick goes to the top of the board now with a 28.45.
What I find interesting, though, is the last 3 cars that were on the racetrack all found speed enough to go to the top of the board.
Yeah.
Really all 4 with A.J. Allmendinger. So either the track is picking up, they're understanding the grip level in the track, as we're following Clint Boyer right here. Loses a little speed on corner entry. That's a perfect example, Rick. It goes green on corner entry. He's trying to carry speed. It lost a little bit of speed. Now it's coming back. Can he back up turn 3? I think he did. He lost a little time in, but look, I think he should gain time back on exit if he can stay in the throttle. But it looks like he goes up the racetrack.
Gets into the wall.
Yeah.
I think he got it.
Man, the exit or turn 4 is really, really difficult. And, you know, that's the wind. So the wind is basically straight down the back stretch, straight down the front stretch, blowing from turns 1 and 2 towards turns 3 and 4. So when it turns out of turn 4, you're turning into the wind.
Right.
Maybe pushing the car up the racetrack, Jeff.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. That wind is blowing directly towards turns 3 and 4, and it does make a big difference. See Clint Boyer He throttled up like we talked about Ricky Stenhouse did. Now he's up the racetrack and trying to stay in the gas and gets into the wall. Not real bad. Definitely contact.
Yep.
You know, you mentioned Harvick, Dillon, McMurray, Allmendinger, all those guys lay lap times down just a little while ago. Is it the racetrack or is it the recognition of the racetrack condition? Right. I suspect it's the recognition of the racetrack, understanding what the racetrack doesn't have in grip and going out and making sure you just make a clean lap as we see Martin Truex go to second.
The names on the left of your screen that are in yellow, those are chase drivers. They're a part of the round of 12 that are competing in these 3 races: Charlotte, Kansas, Talladega. One of those being Joey Logano. They will be, the indicator will be, their names will be in yellow.
I think what's going to be interesting is if we see that first guy go out on the second run and second lap, the second time out on tires is much faster. That is going to change the ball game, because we only have just under 11 minutes left in this qualifying session. You won't have a lot of time to react if the second run is quicker.
Shuts it off as soon as he goes across the start-finish line. Joey Logano fastest, 28.37. Ryan Newman, 4th quickest.
Even with the changing conditions, you see on the left side of your screen the current top 22. Those names highlighted in yellow are the chase drivers, and they're, other than Edwards and 10th, the other 4 are right up there in the top 5.
Alex Bowman was putting together a pretty good lap, lost some speed though as he was coming out of 2 and then down the backstretch.
How about Matt Kenseth? Looks like his lap's good, going the wrong way right now. Let's see if he can stop it. Yeah, he does stop it. Now he's got it going back in the right direction, so we're going to have a new pole sitter right now.
Top speed so far, Matt Kenseth at 28.298 seconds, averaging just over 190 miles an hour.
And you know, the speed is more than just for the driver. The teams and crew chiefs, they have to adjust the height of the race car, adjust the front packers to try to determine how much travel you're going to get. When you talk about slowing down a half of a second, the car doesn't squish into the pavement as well in the corners. Remember, these corners are banked. When you carry that speed down in there, you know, basically the physics of it push the car into the racetrack. So if the crew chief expects to run a 2750 and has all this packer in the car and the car raised up, and then you don't, it compounds the issue, because now the splitter's off the ground, the downforce is down, the car's slippery, it's up out of the racetrack.
Track's worse and the car's worse.
Well, that sounds great there. Sounds easy to do.
Go have fun.
You see the cut line now just below 24th. Michael McDowell, and he just fell below the cut line. Lennon Castle now in the 38 falls below the cut line.
I think Carl Edwards needs to have a little bit of concern, because as he goes down to the 18th position right here, there's still a handful of cars to run. We haven't seen Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott.
Danica Patrick still has to go. She was able to find some speed, was able to get quicker in the first session.
And it, you know, you talk about running again. I think Carl Edwards in this 19 is going to be our first chase driver that's going to have to go again.
Carl Edwards will be in trying to cool that car down, get ready for another run, as Kyle Busch goes second quickest at 28.332.
And even if it doesn't get to Carl Edwards, we have some pretty big names right here. Clint Boyer, Kyle Larson, 23rd and 24th. And with Denny and Chase Elliott on the track, both trending in the green, I think we might see the cut line move, although Chase Elliott is not in the green anymore.
And Chase Elliott, definitely one of the chase drivers that wants to be in the top 24 and advance into that second round.
Great 3 and 4. He's one of the first drivers we've seen that really he's gained over 0.2 of a second in one end of the racetrack.
So that moves Carl Edwards down to 21st, and Carl Edwards has to assume that Paul Menard, Regan Smith, Larson, you know, Larson is a team that you have to expect is going to go faster. So they've really got to be thinking they're going to have to make another run.
Danica Patrick well into the green.
Danica had a really good run in Charlotte. Ran well, had good speed.
She's 8th quick. 8th quickest for Danica Patrick. That pushes Carl Edwards down to 22nd. De Benedetto, a 1/10 of a second to the good.
This is one of those qualifying sessions, Jeff. I think you were right. I think these teams would have been better off to just wait, to wait a little bit and understand the grip level of the racetrack. as DeBenedetto just misses out in the 25th position.
So now the 98 of Reed Sorensen sitting on pit road, about ready to go out. The clock under 7 minutes to go in this first round. How many will go out and try to make a second run? And when they do go out, will they pick up more speed?
Well, I think that's the concern. I don't believe Carl Edwards can wait, because in the last minute and a half, we're going to see cars on the racetrack. Remember, we saw it just last week sit on pit road, and Kyle Larson didn't advance and never got out from pit road.
That's right. We had a 17 car rolling down pit road right now. Eric Almirola is a team that could get in the top 24, and he hasn't made a run yet.
Right.
He's sitting there waiting on the racetrack. So if you're Carl Edwards, you have to be thinking that he can beat you as well. So it won't be long. You're going to see the 19 car rolling down into the pit road.
Regan Smith, Paul Menard sitting 23rd and 24th as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who in his earlier run got into the wall. So you would assume if he could stay out of the wall, and they figured out that, you know, how he's going to run this track, he should be able to go faster than what he turned earlier, 29 flat.
Well, we were complimenting Mike Kelly and his aerodynamic adjustments. We're getting ready to see how they are for this 17 car.
Mike.
And guys, you saw what they were doing on pit road. Mike Kelly, just endless work massaging the right side of that race car, the front fender and the rear fender, trying to clear it from the tires. Also, the deck lid looked a little bit out of line. They tried to straighten that out as much as possible. Ricky also said over that first run, the car was loose throughout the course of the run. They tightened it up by making a wedge adjustment on both sides of that race car, putting a little bit more wedge into it, trying to tighten him up so he doesn't have the same issue here.
Yeah, if he doesn't lose the speed here, he's going to be he probably will be in the top 10.
We talk about aerodynamics and how important they are. Well, we'll see right here. Handling still rules because they improved the handling on the 17, and he jumps up to the 19th position.
Yeah, he lost a lot of speed coming out of fourth.
Carl Edwards down to 23rd now.
Again, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in his first run on the track gets up high into the wall. They go to work on pit road, pulling the fender back out.
So here's the other question. Was it the fact that he got into the wall, which I know hurt him, but also how much did going out the second time on tires help?
We're about to find out, because here goes Paul Menard. Eric Almirola is going to go out, but that'll be Eric Almirola's first time out.
That'll be his first time. Menard will be his second time. Again, only 4.5 minutes left. 13 car Mears, he's been out once. He's in 31st.
But, you know, in 31st, but 13 100ths, less than a tenth and a half off of Paul Menard in 24th. So that's a reasonable amount that you could expect someone like Casey Mears, now that he knows the grip level. Booty Barker perhaps make adjustments. We could see this 13 car find that much speed.
This is really the first car that's gone out the second time without having an issue, right? We know that Stenhouse had an issue. This car did not have a big issue. So everybody on pit road is looking at this car as an indicator of what tires can or cannot do on the second time out.
And the second run hasn't helped. Currently the 13 is below the speed he's looking for out of the 27 of Paul Menard. He's a tenth and a half, coming back a little bit.
As we're watching Casey Mears, I'm also watching.
This is a good indicator. Paul Menard running against what he ran in the first one, the first time out, and now he is slower.
Right, so he's on the track just trying to improve.
Right.
The 27 of Paul Menard, they feel that they needed to go out and try to pick up their lap time.
So he's done it, though. He's coming off turn 4 really well. He's picked up his lap time. That will move Carl Edwards to the bump line. Paul Menard up to 13th. You see Kyle Larson trending the right way as well.
That's not what Carl Edwards wants to see.
Now you have just over 3 minutes to go, and the 19 sitting on pit road waiting to roll out. Mike.
And this is not the speed that they had hoped to have in this session, Rick, especially after having a very strong practice earlier today where they posted the 3rd fastest speed. Nor were they expecting to have to make more than one run here in this first round. I spoke with Dave Rogers, Carl Edwards' crew chief, before the session began. He said, we want to do this on 3 total laps, meaning 1 lap in each round. But things have not played out the way they expected. His biggest concern, Rogers, was the rubber on the racetrack. Apparently it's made a little bit more of a difference than what he anticipated.
Yeah, now he's below the cut line. So Carl Edwards is fighting to get back into the top 24. As he gets up to speed, we'll see if he can find a little bit more. Run the route that he thinks he can get the best lap time. And he's on the clock now. Sparks a little bit through 1 and 2. And in the red, but now trending into the green, and down the backstretch he goes.
Well, he's going to have to improve a little bit because we have Trevor Bayne also on the racetrack, who was 24th, improving his lap time.
Edwards looking quite a bit better now, almost 0.2 of a second faster. Carl Edwards comfortably in the top 5.
That puts Greg Biffle on the cut line, and Chase Elliott is in 22nd. Are there enough people on the racetrack to move Chase Elliott down past the cut line?
A minute and a half to go.
Chris Buescher's out there right now. He doesn't seem to have the pace he's looking for. The lap time is slower. Car just doesn't handle like he would like.
Chase Elliott's rolling on pit road just in case.
Yeah, he has to, and with 1:20 left, they're going to have to make a decision whether they go on the racetrack or whether they wait on the end of pit road. You know, it's probably going to take about 35 seconds to come around and get the green flag.
Greg Biffle. Coming out of turn 4, you see that sun just over the top of the grandstands.
Yeah, he's coming to get the green flag. I believe if David Reagan is close, he's less than a 10th. He could have a good turns 3 and 4. We'll have to continue to watch the 23 of Reagan.
Biffle got through 3 and 4, coming to get the green really well. Heard him in the throttle hard, never really had to get out of the throttle. Was not able to get through 1 and 2 quite as well, but still on the positive side.
He is, but this is the most difficult end of the racetrack, in my opinion. He gets in, he's back to the gas. Can he stay wide open?
Oh, yeah, he's going to do it. He was able to stay in the gas. He's going to move Bayne out, move Chase Elliott one position from the cut line. Biffle to 17.
20 seconds to go, and right now only maybe one car on the track that could have a lap count.
Yeah, we have Eric Almirola. It looks like he's coming around to take the green. With 10 seconds left, he'll easily catch the green flag. It's basically now Eric Almirola. Will he get in, or will Kyle Larson be in? It's basically between those two to see who advances into the top 24.
We saw Carl Edwards pick up an incredible amount of speed on his second run. So will Eric Almirola be able to do the same on his second run?
Yeah, he knows he's in trouble right now. He came off turn 2, lost a lot of speed. Looked like he got tight at it, chased the car up the racetrack. You see right there, he went to the bottom, tried to stay on the bottom of the white line, and the car just wouldn't stick. So he knows right now there's no way he's going to advance.
Half a second off of what Kyle Larson ran. And with that, the last car on the track, Kyle Larson will advance into the second round. 24th quickest. Matt Kenseth was the fastest in that session. All the Chase drivers will advance to round 2. Here are the drivers that did not advance out of round 1. 25th, Trevor Bayne. All the way down to Cole Witt, former chaser Chris Buescher in that group. Mike Lynette, Joey Gase, Reed Sorensen, and Josh Wise. That's how 25 through 40 will line up. Let's go to Mike.
And Trevor Bayne just missed making it to round 2. Where were you lacking the speed?
Oh man, we made some mistakes there in that qualifying round. We went out early, which was a bad idea because now we have all this grandstand cover and it cooled off quite a bit. So that was our first mistake. The second time we went out and made a run when it was cool, and we thought the 38 car was done, and he was not. So I blended right behind him, and I was in dirty air coming to the green. So I mean, when you're talking about 100th of a second, I'm sure any of those things would have helped us. But really, in practice, we had a great race car. Our Advocare Ford seems to have speed with this cool, grippy racetrack. Anytime we have a lot of mechanical grip, we can go. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. Hope it stays cool and we can go fast.
It may not stay cool. According to the forecast, it's supposed to be pretty warm on Sunday. So what's it going to be like trying to make your way to the front from the 25th starting position?
Well, I think we can do it. We just got to be smart about it. Last weekend at Charlotte, we just kind of fought through the whole race through adversity, and we were able to get our Advocare Ford a better finish. Tomorrow, though, and Sunday, I'm a little bit concerned about it because of today, what we saw. In practice, it was cool. The track was really fast, and just with a little bit of sunlight, a little bit of rubber going down from the Xfinity cars, you see the track slow down 4 or 5 tenths. And maybe not for some guys, but for me, it slowed down about 4 or 5 tenths. And, you know, it really changed the balance of our car. So what's it going to do in 2 days from now when it's 10, 15 degrees hotter and a lot more rubber on the track?
And Dave, it would seem because of what Trevor just explained, practice tomorrow might be pretty important.
Yeah, they'll be spending a lot of time dialing these cars in, as will Regan Smith. Not a bad run for you. Didn't make the final round, but what were you working with there?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty close and felt good about where the car was. I just hopped out of the Xfinity car and maybe didn't hit all my marks perfectly. I haven't done a lot of that this year, but proud of the guys at TBR. They got me some decent grip from what we had in practice. We made a lot of gains from practice. Fire Alarm Services is with us this weekend. It's a Colorado company, good friends of mine, and looking to have a fun weekend for them. We got a lot of people coming out here, so it should be a lot of fun this weekend.
So the Xfinity car might have thrown you off just a little bit there, but the advantage to running the double duty this weekend for you?
Yeah, a lot of advantage. Just the track time, the seat time in the car, just feeling where the track goes as the weekend goes on. And I definitely I don't do it enough to remember, hey, there's some really big differences between these things. So it might have messed me up a little bit in qualifying, but the good thing the car was good and was able to get us almost into that second round, which is a good run for us.
All right, good luck the rest of the weekend.
All right, thank you.
Regan Smith out in the first round, but optimistic, guys.
Round 2 coming up, qualifying from Kansas Speedway. How many of the 12 Chase drivers will make it into round 3? Get the latest NASCAR news, results, and highlights delivered straight to your inbox. Never miss a story or last lap pass by subscribing to the official NASCAR newsletter today. Visit NASCAR.com/newsletter. Team's about to roll back onto the track for round 2. It's only 10 minutes this session. As soon as the green flag goes in the air from the flag stand. And sure enough, there it goes. Looks like Tony Stewart's going to want to be the first one out onto the track, or at least rolling first off of pit road. Shadow's getting a little bit longer. Local time 5:47 in Kansas City, Kansas. Starts at Kansas Speedway for Tony Stewart. This racetrack opened just after 2000. 16 years of racing from Kansas Speedway. Tony Stewart, who made the chase, was in the round of 16, but one of the 4 that were eliminated after the first round. Now hoping to have great experience the remaining 6 races of the 2016 season.
Let's see how this lap is for the 14 of Tony Stewart. I'm a little surprised. Close behind him, 25-30 car lengths, was the 88 of Alex Bowman, who ends up running faster than Tony Stewart. Bowman runs a 28-34. That's a big improvement. Almost 0.3 of a second compared to the 28.60 that the 88 car ran in round 1. So perhaps the track is picking up, or as you keep saying, Jeff, perhaps they're just making adjustments to the grip level.
And Stewart ran about the same as he ran in round 1.
And Logano currently tracking in the red, and lap by Alex Bowman at the moment seems to be pretty decent. Although Kenseth has a different idea. He's about a 10th better going down the backstretch.
Kenseth holding the speed as he enters 3.
Matt Kenseth's just been far enough off the radar this year. Something strikes me. He's my pick for Miami. Something strikes me about him that Joe Gibbs' equipment has been good. He is ready, I think, to win another championship. He saw his teammate Kyle Busch do it last year. There's something about Matt Kenseth that I seem to like in these last 5 or 6 races.
Matt ran just a little bit quicker than he ran in the first second.
Kevin Harvick also picked up speed on the second round. He goes 28.29, which is second fastest. And so far, the 7 that have been on the track,
right there at a 45.
the 1 lap that they have run, it's been one and done. And here comes Ryan Blaney. He is now on the clock. Kyle Busch yet to go. Carl Edwards.
Ooh, the 21 of Ryan Blaney never got to the bottom of 1 and 2. You saw he tried to make a late entry, try to help himself position for the exit of the corner, but never got to the white line in the middle of the corner.
Sometimes you try to make that late entry and get a big arc and turn it really late, get to the bottom. But the negative of that is if you don't get to the bottom, the lap is normally really slow. He went through 3 and 4 really well. He went through 3 and 4 as well as Kenseth did, but he lost it all in 1 and 2.
Blaney able to post the 6th quickest time. Danica Patrick.
Yeah, she has to be disappointed with that lap after such a good lap in the first session. She actually ran a 28.48, so that's slower than the first session.
And Dillon done it in fourth. I think they have to be really happy with that run. Remember, they were 28th fastest in practice, and that has a good shot, I think, of making the last round. It's going to be close, but he's got a shot.
Yeah, Truex, the pole sitter from the Kansas race in May, jumps into the fourth position. And I think like you were mentioning about Dillon, I think Truex has to feel pretty decent about that. Oh, Denny Hamlin, you heard it. There's a perfect example. In and out of gas and in the red.
But it's coming back. He kind of broke even. You know, the track is slower, so you're probably going to have to get out of the throttle. They were all anticipating being able to be partial throttle, but heard right there, he got out, jumped right back in it. So a decent lap.
Jeff, how difficult is that as a driver when you're coming through 3 and into 4 to be able to see your line with the sun there? And that was totally different from the way they were running earlier today because the sun wasn't out.
Well, I think that's the key. I think the key is that now everything you're looking at is different, meaning that when you have references on the racetrack, some guys use references on the wall, a sign on the wall, all sorts of things to know when to be out of the throttle, when to turn your car, all things like that. When the sun gets in your eyes, you can't see it. You have to have something else as a reference. So if you're using those points that you can't see as well, it can hamper your ability.
Well, I always wanted to know from a driver. So Kyle Busch flies through turns 1 and 2. He's tracking the green. Heading into turn 3, do you feel is that pressure? Do you know you had a good turns 1 and 2? Don't overdrive turn 3, although Kyle Busch is going to lay a great lap down.
Yeah, that you typically know when you have a good 1 and 2. When it's average, that's when it's tough. Like when you go through there and you're like, well, I think it was good with Kyle Busch going to the top, but I'm not sure how good it was. That's when you don't know getting into turn 3 how hard to push it.
Kyle Busch goes 28.106 for his lap and is the fastest car on the track. Chase Elliott.
He was the slowest of the Chase cars in the first round, was only 23rd quick, but that was good enough. You only have to be good enough to move through to the cut line, but currently right on the cut mark, trending a little bit better than the 41 off turn 2.
And we've seen this with Chase Elliott. We've seen him give up speed getting into the corner, typically find speed leaving the corner. Let's see if that continues in 3 and 4. It looks like it is. Yeah, broke even leaving the corner.
And now the top 15 all have picked up time from round 1, so they've been able to get faster in round 2. Will we see that trend continue in round 3?
I think a majority will pick up. Now Kyle Busch at 28.10. That's a big chunk above Matt Kenseth. We'll see.
As we follow on with Jimmy Johnson, see him weaving the car, trying to get heat in the tires. He's left pit road, going as hard as he can. He's going to run up the racetrack. You see where he is. When he comes back around, he'll be on the bottom. He's in the throttle as hard as he can be. He's trying to be up the racetrack to not bog the car down, to slow it down, so he's carrying more speed when he gets into turn 1.
Green as he enters turn 1. Can he hang on to it?
Got to the bottom of the racetrack, was able to re-accelerate. Not quite like he wanted to. You can see him falling back a little bit. He's going to have to find a little bit of speed in 3 and 4.
He lost speed coming out of turn number 2. That momentum killed him, but now he's gaining it back. He had it a little as he was entering turn 3, but now lost a lot as he comes out of 4.
Guys, he radioed that the car was way tight on that run.
Way tight, and probably not enough time to make another run, and he's down in 18th right now. I think with only just under 3 minutes left, it'd be very difficult to get in, get the car cooled down, and make another run. It'll be close, but I don't think you'll be able to.
Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson. 3 Chase drivers not in the top 12. The non-Chase drivers up there, Alex Bowman, Ryan Newman, and Tony Stewart.
And how about the 47 AJ Allmendinger? We saw a lot of speed out of this car last week. Good in qualifying at Charlotte. Ran the top half of the race, up inside the top 5, up inside the top 10. They seemed to lose some speed as the race went, but this is a second week in a row. AJ Allmendinger, I think, outrunning expectations, running closer to the front.
Yeah, up to 6. I think last week they had a newer generation RCR car. We saw some speed with that. They had a mechanical problem is what I was told, and that's why throughout the race they were having problems. But like you said, a lot of speed in the race. Kyle Larson way up the racetrack.
Missed 1 and 2, and it looks as though
that will get you qualified 24th.
Yeah, this lap isn't going to help out a lot for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and he doesn't come in because with 2 minutes left, there's no extra time. We'll see if he can run another lap. We'll see if they have enough tape open or cool enough water that he can run 2 laps. We'll have to see.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. after battling back after slamming the wall coming out of turn 4. Making it into round 2. We'll see if he can advance out of round 2 into round 3. That lap 18th quickest. That's not going to get it done.
Yeah, he did run a second lap, but it's not any better. It's hard. Tires have a second lap on them. They're hot. They're slick. It's just not going to improve. As we see Logano, though, he's going to try to improve. It's trending in the green. I think the 22 of Logano is going to do it. Will eliminate Chase Elliott from the last round.
Logano goes all the way up to 4th. That pushes Chase Elliott out of the top 12. Now Brad Keselowski, who's sitting on pit road, is currently 12th. Tony Stewart is going to go. He's going to try to do another lap.
Well, I think Tony Stewart's going to force Keselowski onto the racetrack.
Denny Hamlin as well. He's also going onto the track.
And Chase Elliott's still sitting in his pits. He's just now leaving the box. There's 40 seconds left in qualifying. He's got to go down pit road. He's got to blend on the racetrack. I don't know how he's going to make it. I don't think he will make it.
He may have to go. He may have to do some speeding if he wants to get back around in time.
Well, he's off the end of
pit road now with 27 seconds left.
I just don't see that's possible.
Yeah,
28-second lap. It's going to be close.
And so again, they have to get to the start-finish line before the end of the round for their lap to count. And as we have just 10 seconds to go, Brad Keselowski is definitely going to make it. Chase Elliott a long ways off. Just coming out of turn 4 now, and the clock goes to 0. Red black flags displayed ending this round, but the 2 of Brad Keselowski is on the clock. He can shut it down. If no one else, Tony Stewart goes out, doesn't improve, so Brad Keselowski can shut it down. Now he doesn't have to continue this lap.
I don't think they were sure that Chase Elliott had not made the clock. They saw Chase Elliott go by the line, so they had to keep Keselowski continuing running. That's unfortunate because you didn't want to put those laps on the tires, but they just weren't sure, so they had to play on the side of safety.
And once again, Rick, 9 chasers in the top 12, only 3 eliminated. We said this was one of the toughest rounds of 12 ever. I think they're continuing to prove it here in qualifying.
And Jimmy Johnson 21st. So that's where he will start for Sunday's race. We'll be back for round 3 after this. After the second round of qualifying, 3 drivers in the chase did not advance into the 3rd round. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, and Jimmy Johnson all will start from 13th all the way back to 21st for Jimmy Johnson. As we take a look at 13th through 24th, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, the 3 chase drivers that did not advance into round 3. Mike.
At one point during that round, Rick, Chase Elliott came over the radio and said the car wants to turn, it just wouldn't. What was it like trying to drive it through that round?
Yeah, just trying to get it freed up to go a little faster. So we missed it a little bit, unfortunately, but we'll get after it tomorrow and try to get a little better.
All right, so you start from 13th in a race that every race in this round is important, obviously, but what do you do from 13th to get to the front?
I just try to have your car driving good. I mean, a starting spot's a starting spot. We also have multiple laps on Sunday rather than just one to try to make your car drive good. So it's good to have a good starting spot. And obviously, it's important to have a good pit road selection and whatnot. But I think if you get your car driving good, it'll be that'll override it on Sunday.
Chase Elliott will roll off on 13th Sunday afternoon. Dave?
21st for Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy, where was the 48 car lacking in that round?
From round 1 to round 2, the car was much tighter. We attempted to free it up, and I'm not sure if some of those adjustments might have changed the ride height of the car and affected the splitter orientation with the ground. Maybe we got on the splitter a little bit, but a ton tighter than what we had the opening round. So bummed with that. Our car was repeating very well earlier in the day, so I'm kind of leaning in that direction. But either way, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I'm not accustomed to qualifying well all the time. I'm used to racing through traffic, and I'm not worried about this, and we'll get the slow Chevy up there.
Well, yeah, and these next couple of weeks are supposed to be somewhat relaxed for you. Just go out there and win. So with that in mind, do you feel that way?
Yeah, it certainly takes some pressure off, but I don't want it to, and I don't want to fall back on the fact that we're locked in. We need to qualify, towards the front. That's the only way you're going to create the best situation possible come Homestead. We need to get qualifying better under control. I need to get better at it. So we're not taking it lightly today that we qualified 21st, but I'm not too concerned about that. I'm better at racing than I am about running a single lap.
All right, good perspective from Jimmy Johnson. 21st on Sunday, guys.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson has never made the final round here in group qualifying, but the one thing he has done, he has put his name amongst the greatest of this sport. Drivers fighting for a 7th championship. He has 6. He's trying to join the king and intimidator. Sunday Night Football live from Houston with a key AFC South matchup. Andrew Luck, the Colts, visit Brock Osweiler and the division-leading Texans. Dan Patrick, Mike Tirico, they host Football Night in America. That begins at 7 p.m. Eastern only on NBC. About ready to kick off round 3 to find out who will be the poll winner.
And I want to know how fast they're going to go.
Will they pick up speed? That's the question.
I don't think they will. The first round we saw 28-30. The second round of 28-10. I think the tires are getting older. Maybe a 28-10, 28-15. But, Jeff, I think you and I disagree on this.
Well, I think the track's getting cooler. We have more track in the shade now than we had before. I think the tires have sat here and cooled down a fair amount. I think the tires are pretty much ambient temperature at this point as compared to when the guys went in round 2 the second time. The tires are still hot. So we'll see. I think they're going to pick up a little bit.
Hey, he doesn't know.
Well, hey,
of course I don't know.
Drivers know. Drivers always know.
Rick, you're giving them a lot of credit.
They're always in the know.
They're very reactionary. They're very good at driving off down in the corner and come up with a play when they get there, which is why they drive, because I don't have that amount of talent that someone like on board here with Kevin Harvick has.
So drivers know when they know, right? So like when we drive into the corner, something happens, that's when we know it.
That's exactly when you know.
Part of it, that's different.
And that's what we were asking you to do, is predict. Will they go faster? We're about to find out. Matt Kenseth will be the first one out on the track to find out if he will go faster in the final round.
Again, we're seeing Matt Kenseth up the racetrack, coming to get the green flag, keeping that momentum up. You know right now how your car felt compared to the way it felt before. You're thinking mentally, do I need to make an adjustment getting into turn 1? Do I need to change something? Car bottoms out, gets it on the bottom of the racetrack, carries the bottom of the racetrack a long way through the middle of the corner, a lot quicker more than we've seen others. I think that's a good sign that he likes the way his car drives.
Yeah, now he knows, as you said, he knows how his car was in 1 and 2. What can he do in 3 and 4? A nice big late entry, which helps him on exit be lower.
Used all the racetrack off turn 4.
Down to the apron, across the stripe, 28-11.
He had run a 28-24. He's been top 2 in both rounds. So he picked up. The question now, Kyle Busch, his teammate, who was also in the top 2 of both rounds, will he find enough pace, enough grip to catch and perhaps overtake his teammate?
So at least we know that I was right about one car.
One car.
He picked up. Now that might be 11 that I'm wrong with, but with 1 I was right.
Martin Truex Jr. now on track for his run. And again, with such a limited amount of time, just 5 minutes in this session, they'll only get 1 run.
So now these drivers have got that information. They know Matt Kenseth ran a 28-11. Martin Truex has been told that over the radio, I'm sure. So now, to your point, he has to decide how much he needs to adjust what he's been doing, because somehow he has to go faster. So how does he do that, right? Do you drive in deeper? Do you pick up the gas sooner? Somehow you have to ask your car to do more.
And the problem with driving in deeper is if it doesn't work, then you have a terrible lap. So what you want to try to do is try not to overdrive the entry, try to carry all that speed from the center out.
And I think as we watch the 78 go across the finish line there in 28-30, a little bit slower lap for Martin Truex Jr. Austin Dillon goes across in 28-48. No matter where Austin Dillon ends up, I think in this qualifying session, he or Brad Keselowski have got to feel like this is a win. They're going to start in the top 12.
No doubt.
They were the 2 slowest chase drivers in the first practice today. And so we were questioning if they were going to be able to get up and run in the second round and even into the third round. Ryan Newman, one of the 3 non-chasers in this final round.
You can see everybody we've tracked so far, Matt Kenseth beat them to the line and into turn 1. He did a great job of carrying speed, coming to get the green. People underestimate how important that is, and Matt Kenseth did a really good job. Right now we have Kyle Busch on the racetrack. That's the one I think he's going to have to dodge.
Kyle Busch was the fastest in round 2. And now Kyle Busch in the red and going the wrong direction compared to Matt Kenseth.
But close enough, Rick. 0.04 of a second can easily be made up in 3 and 4. Can the 18 of Kyle Busch do it. He got in a little deep, I think. Will he be able to make it up on corner exit?
It's going to be close.
Better 3-4.
Oh, really close, but he doesn't do it. 1,000th of a second slower than Matt Kenseth. Over a mile and a half, and the difference between first and second right now, 1/1000th of a second.
So just to be clear, Kyle Busch didn't pick up. He went slower from the last round.
He did go slower.
Just to subvert.
So there was
split that.
There's clarity now. Joey Logano, 28:38. He's 5th quickest.
I think you definitely said it, though. You look at Kenseth, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex. I don't want to say the expectations were them to qualify well, but they were good in practice.
Denny Hamlin, who's up to 6th quickest. How about Brad Keselowski, 7th quickest?
Another car, big gains from practice, has to be feeling really good about that.
How about Allmendinger?
Allmendinger, right now, about 1/4 of a second off of what Kenseth has run. We'll see where that will slide him in. It's 9th quickest.
Carl Edwards, we'll see. Can he have the best 3 and 4 we've seen all day? I think that's what it's going to take to beat his teammates for the pole. No, he doesn't have it. He's losing time, but currently a Joe Gibbs front row. Will the 19 of Carl Edwards join him? He will. It'll be Joe Gibbs 1st, 2nd, 3rd currently on the charts.
And then you throw in Martin Truex Jr., the alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin down there in 7th. Pretty impressive first 2 laps. Matt Kenseth, 18th career Sprint Cup Series pole. We'll hear from the pole winner when we return.
Matt Kenseth trying to do everything he can to hold Joey Logano at bay. Kenseth throws the block on Logano. All the way up against the safer barrier. Logano may have made contact. They're back in 1.
Kenseth gets tagged and he spins. He squeezed Logano into the wall in turn 1. Logano got him back in 2, and around goes Matt Kenseth.
I've actually been one of his biggest fans. I'm certainly not anymore.
You guys be hard, so I raced him hard back.
Logano's going to win again at Kansas.
That's how we do it.
That was a memory from a year ago where Matt Kenseth trying to hang on to get the win. He gets spun, and then he ends up winning the pole today. So better memories from Kansas Speedway. Let's hear from him.
And yeah, his first pole of the year, Rick. So he turned it up in time for this race, no doubt. What's it mean for you to be able to start this ever so important race from the pole?
Well, it's nice to get a pole. I feel like our qualifying hasn't been nearly as good this year, as consistent as it has been in the rest of the years here I've been at JGR. So I was glad to get it. We barely got it. It was by 1,000th or something like that. So obviously our Camrys have been fast. Our Dewalt Flex Full Camrys have been driving good. And Jason made all the right adjustments. Round 1, we were pretty decent. Round 2, it was off a little bit, and round 3 it was just right. We still almost got beat, but it was as good a lap as I was going to run. So they did a good job today.
JGR 1, 2, 3. You also have another Toyota and Martin Truex Jr. 4th right now. How tough are the Toyotas going to be to beat on Sunday?
You know, it's great having, you know, such talented teammates and other crew chiefs in the stable and everything, but it also stinks at times. It's really, really hard to ever beat them. So our cars are pretty fast this weekend, but anything can happen, as you've seen last week. So everybody's been stepping up lately. I think all the cars, particularly the guys toward the front of the chase right now, are all really, really fast. You know, the Hendrick cars really stepped it up the last few weeks. The Forza was a threat to win. So there's a lot of good cars out there. We got to go race 400 miles on Sunday, and hopefully we can stay up front there somewhere and be in the mix.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Matt Kenseth's 3rd career pole here at the Kansas Speedway. The last time, Dave, you won a pole here, 2013. He also won the race.
Something to contend with. 1/1000th of a second. It's a 1.5 mile racetrack. Where was it?
Turn 2. Just car was really good the 2nd round, and then the 3rd round it actually was the same exact balance. I just didn't plan for it well enough, I guess, so I kind of messed up off of 2 and had to get back out of the gas and breathe it just a fuzz. But 3 and 4 was way better, so I thought I was going to be able to have enough in order to get it back, but start finish line was in the wrong spot. So good job to the 20 boys. They deserve it. You know, arguably this is one of Matt's better tracks or best tracks, and so to start second to him here is pretty good. I learned everything I know now about this place on him, or off of him, so I can blame him if I screw up here. But you know, a good day to have all the JGR cars strong and top 3 right there, so it'd certainly be nice to end that way.
we'll see how it goes on Sunday.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up. This track didn't used to even be close for you, so it was discussions with Matt and technique and that kind of thing that helped you?
Yeah, it was a lot of things. I mean, all my teammates, I certainly went back and looked at ECU stuff and tried to figure it out with my engineers and whatnot. But, you know, Matt, he's had most success here year in, year out. So it was more about looking at what he was kind of doing and being able to put that to my use on the racetrack and being able to mimic some of those things. So, you know, I owe a bunch of it to him. So, you know, he can beat me by 1,000th right now. We'll see what we can do on Sunday to beat him.
That's right. If he gets first to the finish line, maybe by 1,000th on Sunday. Mike?
Joey Logano qualified 6th. Good run. How important was it for you to bounce back after last week and have a good qualifying effort here today?
Well, you know, this is it's one of our best racetracks, but it's been kind of one of our worst racetracks when it comes to qualifying 14th the last 2 times we've been here. So we made a lot of effort this week talking about how to be a better qualifier at Kansas, and we've made some progress. 6th isn't our goal, but it's progress from 14th, so we're a little more than halfway there. And you know, so overall, we got a decent starting spot. We should get a good stall from there and go out there and try to win here again.
You've won the last 2 chase races here at the Kansas Speedway. How much confidence does that give you going into Sunday?
Our team's got confidence for sure, and we had a very fast car last weekend in Charlotte, so we know what we got to do with our Shell Penzo 4 to win this thing, and you know, so we'll work on it a little bit tomorrow in practice. The sun's going to be out, it's going to be nice and warm, so the track's going to be quite a bit different than today, so we'll try to tune it in and get it ready for Sunday.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Joey Logano will roll off 6th on Sunday, Dave.
Mike, when I walked up to Carl Edwards, I got a big woo. Why? It was a little bit of a handful out there?
Well, the driver really messed him up. Had to run an extra round because I screwed up the first one, and they turned a lot of bolts, a lot of air pressure adjustments, and then that last lap went as perfect as it could go. So I know it is not the pole. We've got plenty of those this year, but I'm really proud of the effort. I thought my guys did a really good job not quitting, and that'll be a good starting spot for us.
And so do you feel like it's just a 1 round, a little extra time on the tires difference here?
Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I hope that was the difference. I felt like the car was balanced well, and but yeah, I really thought we were shot after that first one. I didn't think we had any shot at a top 5, so proud of my Xfinity guys. Jennifer, Yowie, and all of them are here, so that was pretty cool, and hopefully we can run well here. You know how important this place is to me. It'd be great to get a win.
Yeah. Nice run for Carl. Nice recovery, guys.
1, 2, 3 for Joe Gibbs Racing. That's the 3rd time in 2016 that they will start in the top 3 positions. Again, after this weekend, you can tune into NASCAR America weekdays at 5:30, 90-minute shows, and they will break down what took place here at Kansas, as well as looking forward to Talladega.
It's a really fun show to do. Really get a chance to talk about all the drivers in this chase. And one guy we probably haven't been talking enough on this show enough is Matt Kenseth. You look at what he's done. He's finished 9th, 2nd, 5th, and 2nd in this chase. He's peaking at the right time. Is he now, with this success, I know he hasn't won, but is he now perhaps one of the top 2 or 3 guys you could consider as a favorite?
Well, what we've learned so far in the chase is we'll have a lot to talk about. Probably a chase winner, a few chase disappointments, and what possibly we might see at Talladega.
The NASCAR Chase is on NBC. Tomorrow, Xfinity Series round of 8 begins. Coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. Then Sunday, Sprint Cup Series, race 2 in the round of 12. Coverage beginning at 1:30 p.m. Eastern from Kansas. I think in Kansas, we're closer to the moon. The moon is gigantic over the city skyline of Kansas City, as we're getting ready for the 2nd race of the round of 12. And this is the starting grid. Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch making up row number 1. In the top 12, only 3 non-chasers, and those include Alex Bowman there in round 3.
Yeah, 2nd week in a row we've seen Alex Bowman in that 88 have a lot of speed in qualifying. We'll have to see if his luck's a little bit this week in the race.
Yeah, and see Ryan Newman, AJ Allmendinger, 2 guys that did not make the chase, but really good qualifying efforts. And you mentioned it before, Austin Dillon, they really struggled in practice, but found a way at the right time to have a good qualifying effort.
Some drivers needing a good finish, but they always say it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Guys like Jimmy Johnson doesn't have as much pressure on the 48 team with the win at Charlotte a week ago. They can go out, run as well as they possibly can, but they don't have the pressure on them to do something that they shouldn't have to do. Like some of the other teams that are out there that are already at the bottom, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th in points.
Yeah, it was interesting, though. He talked about how he wanted to try to go out and run well. and continue this momentum into the next round still.
And all the way back into row 20. So the 40 cars and their starting positions for Sunday's afternoon race. It was a little breezy today, maybe 10 mile per hour wind. But they're saying now that Sunday the winds could be upwards of 20 miles an hour. How will that affect these cars and how they have to set them up?
Well, this pavement seems to be aging. Last time in May we saw cars all the way up against the wall. I'd imagine on a windy day, Jeff, it's going to be even more difficult to run on the edge right against the outside retaining wall.
Windy and sunny. It's supposed to be very sunny on Sunday as well, so the track could be slick and have that wind.
And potentially 20 degrees warmer on Sunday. They're expecting 80s. Right now, the hottest driver at Kansas, Matt Kenseth, he just won the pole. Martin Truex Jr. making up the first 2 rows.
Yeah, you see Jimmy Johnson all the way back at 21st. Well, he has a win, so the pressure's off. I look at Kurt Busch in 15th. Ground out to an 8th place finish last week, but didn't have the speed. Can they find more speed in their car and be a little more competitive on Sunday?
I think everybody did okay in qualifying. No big holes anybody has to dig out of. I know 15th, 13th, you want to do better, but it's not something you can't overcome. So now they can start with a decent starting position, but they're all scared to death that they're going to have a problem and dig themselves a hole.
All with the exception of Jimmy Johnson, because that win at Charlotte advances him into the round of 8. Qualifying now in the books as the grid is set for Sunday's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race from Kansas Speedway. Coming up next on NBCSN, it's NHL Live.